welcome to episode 144 of BigRedBarel Geek Speak, a place for all your nerdy needs on BigRedBarel.com. My name is Alex, I'm the host for this episode, and also self-appointed Baroness of Butts. And joining me, she's jauntly, she's jubilant, she's almost conflu-free, Juggernaut of Joe!
Hello! Yeah, I'm all good. Yeah. Just a little bit chesty, but fine. It was worth it. Totally worth it.
Doesn't mean you're gonna have very sexy lower voice.
Yeah, maybe I talk like a super sexy lady, or not at all. You just might hear the occasional in the background.
No, they won't, because, I'll edit it out.
The magic of editing.
Oh yeah, that's why I'm here, peeps.
Yeah.
And, well, his voice is always sexy. He's dangerously darling Diarmuid.
Hello there.
And my door opened 1 second.
Go! She ruined everything!
How are you guys doing this fine Saturday morning?
Fabulous. Charlie's gone out, sadly, so we do not have a Charlie host right now.
Such a diva.
It's almost as if he knew. He was like, you're going to make me be a guest. I'm out. And he was off. Straight out the door.
What? No Charlie? What?
No, sadly we have no Charlie this morning.
Aww.
He's out wandering around. We had some rain. Oh my god, we had some rain this morning, and I really got quite excited because it wasn't like a little bit of rain, it was like a proper little shower, and I was like, yes! More please.
Yeah, we had rain yesterday as well. It did nothing to improve things.
There's quite a strong breeze here today as well, which is quite pleasant. So, yeah, today seems not so bad, but, it's like a minor reprieve.
And on that note, we'll go to something that most of the time is not so bad. To a Time Waster of the Week, and consequently actually a theme of the Time Waster of the Week. It's a little video called How Movie Trailers Manipulate You.
Oh, right.
It's about 9 minutes long, and it just talks about all stuff movie trailers. The dramatic noises movie trailers make, and at which points, the structure. Yeah,
exactly.
Pretty much. The escalation and all that kind of stuff. And actually, it did start with the brief history of how the trailers were developed. I kind of sort of forgot they used to be at the end of the movies. Like, to me, it's just so natural that they go at the beginning. But obviously, that wasn't the case. And they became more and more popular as the time went on. And now there is a whole industry just making movie trailers.
The bit that kind of put me off was the fact that they have their own sort of semi-Oscars. It's like, they have their own awards. It's like, but you keep ruining films for me.
Yeah. Yeah, could definitely have done without that Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom one spoiling half the bloody film.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But there is an art to a good movie trailer. Like, there have been some really, really good ones lately. Like, the Hereditary trailer is the first one that pops to mind. That was a great trailer. It told you everything you needed to know, but also nothing at all. So, yeah. Occasionally, you get some good ones.
The video, I watched it yesterday, and the video talks about, how the fact that there's, companies set up to do all of this stuff, to create these trailers. And they say that, it, just like you say, they say it is an art form. There is sort of different formulas that they kind of use to try and figure it out. But one of the lines in it that I thought was particularly revealing was the fact that they said that it's not fine art, it's commercial art.
Yes.
So it's all about just selling you on this idea of a film. It kind of put me in mind of, they're marketers. They're not really creators in the same way. They're trying to show you enough of the film that you kind of, not even show you the film, they're trying to make little mini films that make you excited for a bigger version of that same thing. It's a weird kind of process, but as you say, it is a kind of an art form that I don't know many people have actually mastered at this stage.
I mean, what was kind of interesting to me, and it's sort of a thing I already knew, really, is that the trailers also go through the phase of there is a thing that's popular, and then they overdo the thing that's popular, and they move on to a new thing, and they investigate, and they evolve with the time, and they find out what kind of thing gets people when they watch it. So, all of that, even in part, dramatic stuff or little quick shots of people, I don't know, cocking their guns or whatever, that's sort of a part of a zeitgeist of the moment, and then that passes away, and then they move to a new thing, and then the new thing becomes the zeitgeist.
Yeah.
And it's like super obvious, but I found that kind of like, yeah, okay, it's good that they know.
Like, you're right. They talked about the fact that, like, sometimes they reuse the same sort of thing, like bass drops or what do they call them, power downs or kind of things like that. They use those kind of techniques, and then as soon as it kind of becomes a formula, they try and change the formula so it doesn't become boring. Yeah. So it was really revealing, actually, that video. It's quite good.
The one thing I liked is when they just put random sounds to make a scene more dramatic, and when in Baby Driver they just put a random panther noise during the car chase.
I
and
did
I was
not
like,
notice
what?
that when I watched that trailer, but yeah, when they pointed it out, I was like, that is just ridiculous.
yeah, but you don't notice, like, it works because it just feels more dramatic and a bit more intense. And then they're like, yeah, there's just panther there for
sure,
because we felt like it. And
so many little editing tricks like that and stuff. It's a bit of an art form, to be honest.
So go check it out. The link will be in the description below. As always, it's about 9 minutes, and it's interesting. It's actually really interesting. Okay, let's go into the news. Now, there is a couple of reboot news on our agenda today, but we're going to start with the one that I sort of don't care about, but I also sort of don't have high expectations for, which is Charlie's Angels reboot.
Let's not mess around. The first time they kind of rebooted this a few years ago, was it in the 90s, was absolutely awful, like just dreadful films. So, to be honest, I'm surprised it's taken them this long to try it again, because it's a pretty solid idea. People like it. I mean, is it a little bit kind of dated now in terms of like 3 women working for some dude, and it's a bit questionable? I don't know. Yeah, I'm kind of with you. Like, I don't really care, but I'm also not that fussed either way. And there's plenty of people out there who will probably enjoy it. But yeah, I mean, the cast sounds interesting. Like, at least they sort of seem to have a fairly decent cast so far. So
see, here's the thing that bothers me about it. It actually doesn't bother me, it just makes me go like a bit meh. Like, whatever you can say about the Charlie's Angels reboot, and they are pretty dreadful movies, you can't deny that these 3 women had a lot of charisma and they were big individuals in themselves, and actually every single one of them could probably did easily carry a movie, and it was fine. Whereas the choice, especially of Kristen Stewart, like, she is the least emotive person I've never known in my life. And I know there's a lot of, jokes about her just making the same sad face that comes from Twilight, but I've seen her in quite a lot of movies. I think I gave her a fair chance for a very, very long time, and she is a bit samey, and she can't get away from that.
The thing I found, just to, like, on the Kristen Stewart front, the thing I found about her actually is, like, she's so dependent on a good director. Like, I've seen her in things like Personal Shopper is a good example, where she's actually amazing. Like, the girl can act. Like, she really can when she's led to it. But yeah, it just seems like a lot of the time she sort of doesn't. But I kind of actually think she's kind of interesting for this, because she's not the kind of stereotypical Hollywood A-lister type choice that you'd pick for something like this, like, action movie star, kind of akin to what we had previously. So I kind of like, when they sort of announced her, I kind of thought, okay, they definitely are taking this in a different direction. And of course, for me, the most interesting person involved in this is Elizabeth Banks.
Yes, who's been planning this reboot for
a long time. So that's kind of why I sort of feel like, okay, maybe they're trying to do something a bit different, and maybe it won't just be a big silly nonsense action movie like the last ones.
See, to me, I think that's exactly the problem I have. To me, when I think of Charlie's Angels, I think of something incredibly cheesy, incredibly silly, but also incredibly upbeat and sort of kind of like uplifting in a way. They're all fun, they're having fun doing things, they're sort of very upbeat people, and Kristen Stewart just doesn't fit.
Imagine if you had Anna Kendrick or maybe Rebel Wilson instead.
Oh, mate, Anna Kendrick, though, legit. Oh,
I was kind of surprised when I saw that Elizabeth Banks was involved and planning to direct this. And she's also going to play Bosley as well, apparently.
Yeah.
But like the fact that she was involved, I assumed that she was going to pull in people from, who
Pitch
she'd
Perfect.
worked with. So Pitch Perfect would be the perfect place to bring people in from. And that kind of like that idea, when I tried to recast it in my own head, I came up with what I thought was a better film. So I was like, eh. But again, we haven't seen it. It could be incredible. It could be the turning point for Kristen Stewart to actually look like she's going to laugh on screen. Things like that.
Oh my God. Let's not go too far.
Yeah, that's too much. I mean, just to mention them, because obviously we focused a bit too much on Kristen Stewart. My bad. There is also Power Rangers Naomi Scott.
Yeah, she played the Pink Ranger.
Because the girl one has to be the pink one,
Yep.
of course. Feminism!
And newcomer Ella Balinska. So they are, except for Kristen Stewart, they are pretty new, pretty fresh, pretty
Also pretty.
unseasoned cast. And pretty, yeah. I mean, what else is new?
True, very true. It is a modern blockbuster after all.
Yeah.
Exactly. Okay, from something we don't really care that much about, but is sort of interesting, to something I actually really want to care about, but I'm saving myself, and I don't know how much you guys care about. But Hamilton original cast did a stage recording a while back, and currently a bunch of studios are obviously in the crazy bidding war to get it. So the point of it is that sometime Hamilton musical will come to the screen.
Yeah, this would be pretty cool. It's not the first time. Obviously, there's obviously it will be for Hamilton, but for other kind of stage performances, this is quite it's become a bit of a thing, which is quite cool. Like I think it's quite like I think they did it with Warhorse and a bunch of other stuff.
Well, the one that I had quite a bit was Notre Dame de Paris, which is another musical, just to compare, that unfortunately doesn't run anymore, and it's such a brilliant musical. But I went to see, FYI, my name is Alex, a musical fan here. But I've seen the Russian production of it with all the Russian actors and all the Russian lyrics, and we loved the musical so much we got the French production, which was the original one, which was, amazing. And similarly, you can find Phantom of the Opera, which is just musical that lives on forever, but there is a beautiful just video production of that as well, of the stage production. So, yeah, like Joe said, they do that a lot, and why not with Hamilton?
I think the only stage production I've ever seen in the cinema was actually Frankenstein that Danny Boyle did. Do you remember that? When Danny Boyle did Frankenstein, and it had Johnny Lee Miller, I think. Yeah, Johnny Lee Miller and Benedict Cumberbatch in it.
Ooh.
And they swapped roles. So one of them was Frankenstein one night and one of them was the monster. And it was absolutely fascinating, like, with them switching around and everything. And the version I saw was with Cumberbatch as the monster, which was apparently the best way to see it. And yeah, it was great. Like, you didn't really lose that much for it being on the screen rather than in theatre. I mean, obviously you don't get the same sense of atmosphere, but I think it's like stage shows in the cinema is a really, really nice way of kind of just opening it up to a lot more people, because some people are kind of maybe a bit put off by the theatre sometimes, and also it's not that easy always for people to get into a show. Like, for Hamilton's a good example, it's so massively sold out a lot of the time. If you manage to get tickets, you're very lucky. So this is nice. It kind of opens things up. I mean, I think we're seeing it on the 1st of September, aren't we? We're seeing it fairly soon.
Indeed we are.
Oh, you lucky devils!
So yeah, that's going to be quite exciting to actually see it on stage. But I think this is great. More cinema, theatre stuff, please.
Similar to you, Alex, I haven't actually listened to any of the music from Hamilton. I'm trying to hold off and see it live.
Yeah, same.
So this news isn't particularly exciting for me yet. As soon as I see the show, maybe then it'll kind of trigger something.
Well, it's pretty exciting for me because I don't know when and if I actually get to see it. I've not even attempted to look at the tickets and how much they cost and when I can actually get them. But I do really want to hear it at some point. And I've been resistant listening to the music for exactly that very reason, because I do want to have some kind of full experience. And you know what? If it has to be on a movie screen in 2020 or 2021, that's the dates that all the studios are sort of looking for releasing the recording, which was, by the way, a recording in 2016, so that was quite a while back.
Yeah, original cast, yeah.
Yeah, with original cast. I'll take it. I will absolutely take it. And sure, it won't be the same. but I think it will be, pretty freaking close, and I'll take it. Okie dokes. So moving on to the next topic, and we've sort of touched about a little bit last week. So last week when we recorded, we're sort of in the midst of San Diego Comic-Con, and things were dropping still, and some things haven't dropped yet. But since then, there's been trailers, peoples.
There has been trailers. Yeah.
Yes. So let's briefly talk about some of them, because we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So yeah, we could be here for a long time, so let's try to keep it brief.
Okay,
but the first one is the trailer that gives Diarmuid all the good feelings.
Oh, it does. It does.
Shazam!
I
Shazam!
am a huge fan of Chuck and Zachary Levi.
Yes.
And in Chuck, he is a regular guy, very funny, kind of immature, but he becomes a super spy. In Shazam, he is a regular kid who becomes a superhero. He's basically playing the same role again, and I sign me up. I cannot wait. The trailer itself is incredibly good. It kind of sets up and it is pretty true to the story. It sets up the story of Billy Batson and Shazam pretty well. If you're not aware, Billy Batson is I think in the film he's going to be 14, 15, something like that. He's a foster child who's kind of been going around between different foster homes for ages, and he's a bit of a delinquent. But he gets into a new home when one day he runs into some bullies. He goes onto a subway car, and a wizard basically takes over the car, delivers Billy to himself, and then kind of passes his power over to him. Now, there's a whole predestination thing, or predestined, I should say, thing with Billy, that like he's meant to have had these powers, but he had to get them earlier than expected because of some change. Anyway, but then basically, as a character, Billy Batson, 14, 15-year-old, when he says Shazam, he turns into a superhero who can fly, who's super strong, who's super quick, basically Superman. It's the duality of him being a really big, powerful superhero, but also in having the brain of a 14, 15-year-old boy. And it's that mix, and it's like Big, but with superheroes. That's what I'm looking forward to. And the trailer seems to have knocked it seems to sell the fact that this is going to be really funny, which is exactly what DC movies need.
Oh, God, yeah. I mean, it's a refreshing change for a DC movie. Not gonna lie, I'm not sure it's for me. Like, I don't really have much sort of affinity for the character or anything like that, but it was certainly did look fun. So hopefully it'll be the shot in the arm that the DC universe desperately needs.
Speaking of something that is for you.
Oh yeah, and now everyone step away from your mics except for Joe. Take a breathe, go have a coffee, and then come back.
Yeah, so my boy... my boy, Godzilla, King of Monsters. We finally had the trailer, and oh lordy, is it a beauty. Yeah, I mean, I don't know where to begin. The trailer was great, knocked it out of the park, didn't show too much, showed just enough. The monsters look stunning, like actually beautiful. When they revealed Mothra, I just gasped. I thought, yes,
you know what? I'm gonna interrupt you, but agree. When this whole wings open in the trailer, I was like, ooh,
just stunning. Absolutely stunning. And King Ghidorah looks absolutely badass, which he should. Like, the thing with Ghidorah is that he is enormous and he's hardcore, and he's a real tough match up against Godzilla. So I can't wait. I just cannot wait. And the way they used the music in that trailer was really, really clever. I just think it's going to be awesome. I'm totally on board. Obviously, I have been for a long time, but the trailer was perfect. Again, didn't show too much, showed just enough, told you just enough, and yeah, ended with a lovely killer shot of the boy. So yeah, I'm so excited.
Agreed. I'm all signed up for this. It looks incredible.
Did you have any extra thoughts on Millie Bobby Brown being there, or just like, yeah, she's there, it's cool?
Yeah, I think she's great. I mean, I love her anyway. Like, I'm a big fan of Stranger Things, and I think she's great. And it's quite nice to have like a younger actor in a film like this who isn't going to be annoying, that they're actually going to be good and like so fun to watch. And yeah, the one thing that I loved in the trailer was there's a moment where she's having like a little bit of eye-to-eye contact with probably Godzilla. And the way it was done, I just thought, yes, they've nailed it. Because Godzilla is not the enemy, and that's what was so wrong with that awful Matthew Broderick version, is they made Godzilla the enemy, and he's not. He is nature personified, making us think again about nuclear arms and how we devastate the environment and stuff like that. And one thing that I was hoping this film would do, because obviously it's introducing the other monsters, is not have him be the villain, and it doesn't seem like they have, so this is good. And yeah, it was just a really nice moment, just her and him, and I'm excited. I'm so excited!
Yeah, that moment gave me flashbacks to a certain moment in Game of Thrones with a certain monster and a certain person.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Because it looked very woke to go with each other.
So, I'm down. So down!
Moving on to a trailer that I think made us all roll our eyes a little bit. Is that right? Am I right in saying?
I'm going to be quite honest. It was a bad trailer. I'm still hopeful this could be alright, purely because I like James Wan. Like, he made probably one of the best Fast and the Furious films. He's done really good kind of horror films in the past. He has a good eye, especially for action. And it could be that it was just a poor trailer. I think Amber Heard is just...
Oh, by the way, it's Aquaman. If no one has guessed it, Aquaman.
Sorry. Yeah, we should have said that on the jump. But yeah, I'm not sold on Amber Heard as Mira. She's a bit too straight-laced and...
Do you remember
yes.
in Austin Powers... when Dr. Evil, or Mr. Evil, I can't remember his full name, had sharks with laser beams on their head.
Yes.
Yeah, we've got that now.
Yes.
Like in Aquaman. So we've got battle sharks. So I remember watching the trailer and thinking, well, Sean's not going to like this because it's full of sharks and they're battle sharks.
Yes.
So, but I honestly thought, I know it's obviously very unfinished, but it looked so ropey in that trailer. The CGI
the trailer did a really poor job of kind of selling the movie.
Oh, yeah, no.
I'm hoping the fact that they take the battle sharks and giant crabs, I hope they take that and run with it. And I trust that James Wan would do that. But again, I don't know how much leeway he was given. But the fact that, like, Justice League was a disaster, especially, more importantly, especially at the box office. It was a disaster for them in terms of it didn't do nearly as well as it should have.
Yeah.
I hope that meant that they gave him a bit more leeway to change it up and try something new. Yeah, the trailer hasn't sold me on that, but I'm still mildly hopeful.
Yeah, I mean, I want to sort of be open-minded for it, but I think it's just going to have the wrong tone again. I think it's going to hew too closely to what they tried to do with Justice League, and that failed so badly. So I'm not excited for this. I mean, I love sharks and stuff like that, and battle sharks, I'm on board. But if the film surrounding the battle sharks is as ropey as it looks like it might be, then, yeah, it'll be a bit of a disappointment all round.
The thing that sort of not worries me, but makes me, that I think about, is that they've started Aquaman quite a while back, and I don't think they had a feedback from Justice League just yet. So I don't know how much this movie managed to course correct. And I agree with you exactly. I think this movie should be, like, ridiculous, bonkers, absolutely
it needs to be
insane.
Like Thor Ragnarok tone. You know,
yeah, but
it's ludicrous.
Even crazier, yes. Put guns on sharks and have all sorts of weird sea creatures with weird, I don't know, weaponry and stuff like that. Just go completely into crazy, because it is a little bit like, it's
mental.
It's Little Mermaid in superhero form. Like, it is a bit mental, so just go into it.
One thing I do want to mention as a fan of DC, the like comics and animated stuff at least, I like the fact that they seem to have nailed the look for Black Manta and Ocean Master. Like, they seem to have just taken whatever was drawn onto the comic book and kind of gone, yeah, that's the concept art. Don't kind of tone it down. That's it. So Black Manta still has that massive helmet with the huge red eyes that fire out massive laser beams. I mean, that's what I want. I want them to let loose, and I hope they have, but yeah, we'll see.
Yeah,
we'll
see.
Will see. Now, we've gone for the trailer that gives Di the bonus. We've gone for the trailer that gives Joe the bonus. Now, it's time for me. It's Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of Grindelwald.
Just ignore the Johnny Depp shots. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a few too many of them to ignore, which is annoying, but The rest of the trailer is incredibly exciting.
I was really hoping that there'd be a shot in the trailer where he'd morph into Colin Farrell and then kind of go, ta-da!
Ta-da!
We fooled you!
But yeah, just to explain how important this is to my heart, when the trailers were come out, we were sort of in the group celebrating. I had to go sit in a dark corridor with my phone and watch the trailer because I was like, I need to pay attention. And then me and Di exchanged some words.
Yes.
Words.
I think the rest of the group who are not Harry Potter fans were kind of like, what the hell are you talking about? There was one point I was like, I asked Alex, was that a shot of Dumbledore in front of the Mirror of Erised? And everyone else was like, the what?
And then both of us whispered to each other, Nicholas Flamel.
Excellent.
No, it was a good trailer.
It was.
Again, we can't change the fact that Johnny Depp's in the film, but you know, other than that, it did look quite good. I liked how they're building up the universe in terms of like they're going to Paris this time.
Yes.
So I like that they're kind of jumping around. Hopefully, we'll see more. Maybe of Beauxbaton or something like that. You know, something slightly different.
But I thought they're doing every movie basically every different different country.
Potentially, yeah. I don't know what the rest of the films are going to be like, but yeah, I do know that they're going to try and bring the bigger world into it. I just want to see kind of new locations, new people. I like the fact that they're
new wizarding cultures.
Yes, exactly. That's kind of what I want to see. I want them to build out the world, and then hopefully, if they do decide to create more films in the Harry Potter universe, they can kind of do something completely different, but you still feel attached because you've seen some of that before. So instead of just doing Fantastic Beasts, which finishes in like 1945, they could maybe do stories after the Harry Potter legacy, but they could set it in America, or they could do something completely different.
They could. I like what you said exactly about the movies that they spread the show different countries. Because especially, I'm a big fan of the books. I love them to death. But it did always bother me that Voldemort seemed to be such a UK-centric problem and no one else seemed to bother. And it was especially weird because he did travel abroad. There were apparently giants that crossed all Europe to get to the UK for him. Like, surely his presence affected the world more than just devastating the UK.
Yeah.
You know, it was a bigger threat. And it never really addressed that, and I guess it never really had a space to, and it was never too relevant to the story, so I understand why it didn't bother. It had a lot of things to fit in some already very thick books, so it's fine. But these movies gave an opportunity to address that, and Grindelwald, it's all kind of funny and coincident and on purpose coincidence that it's 1945 and World War II and stuff like that. But it gives an opportunity to show how that affected the bigger world, and I think that's what interests me more than anything else. Agreed.
Yeah, it gives J.K. Rowling a chance to expand the universe more than the books could, because the books were obviously focused on Harry Potter, who was a school boy. He couldn't really go many places, if you know what I mean.
I mean, he didn't have a gap year. What's up with that?
Exactly. So it was kind of focused on the school, hence it felt a bit more. It felt like a smaller story. But now they're able to go to America. They're able to go to Paris. They're basically able to globetrot the fact that they're chasing Grindelwald wherever he's going. That's good. That allows them to build out the universe a bit. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I am. It looks great. I mean, I really enjoyed the first Fantastic Beasts movie a lot. So, yeah, I'm on board for this. I mean, yeah, it's a shame. We can't do anything about Johnny Depp. Like, he's in it. We just have to deal with it. But, yeah, it would... looking forward to it.
Also, freaky big-eyed cats are freaky.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God.
Exciting.
Okay, and on to the last trailer, which I sadly have very sort of little knowledge of. Yes, I'm an embarrassment. I'm an embarrassment. I am aware, but glass.
It was the thing with this trailer that if you haven't seen Split, well, you don't need to worry about it now.
Yep, it's so pretty much spoiled for you right out the gate.
I kind of like Split. I know people are very have very differing opinions on M. Night Shyamalan.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Right? So, don't know anything. Yes, disappointment, as I said. So, there are 3 movies that sort of follow the same storyline?
No.
Or the same character.
So, it starts off with Unbreakable.
Yes.
Which is the one that had Bruce Willis in it. And the story of that is Samuel L. Jackson's character is a very feeble man, as in he has some kind of...
He has a bone disorder. His bones are incredibly brittle.
Yeah, he breaks his bones incredibly easily. And he believes that he's on one side of like the...
Spoilers,
there must
sorry.
There must be someone on the other side who's unbreakable, as the title might... And he believes that is David Dunn, who's Bruce Willis's character.
It's an excellent film, by the way. Yes. Unbreakable is absolutely incredible. It's probably Shyamalan's best film. Exactly. I would say.
And spoilers for Unbreakable.
Yeah.
And everyone stop now. Good. It turns out that Samuel L. Jackson's character, Mr. Glass, is actually the bad guy. So he's been setting up these big events like train crashes and fires and all that kind of stuff to try to find this unbreakable person. So multiple events that killed hundreds, if not thousands of people have happened because he planned them. And he did that to try and find this unbreakable person. And you find that out right at the end of the film. So that's the big twist there. Then, there was no sequel or anything made for that until years later. And this film came out called Split. And no one knew that they were related at all.
It was a stealth sequel. It was quite well done.
Exactly. It was right at the end. Again, spoilers for Split. And we'll give it a second.
If you've watched the Glass trailer, then it's spoiled already.
Yeah, true. So that's why I just want to, in case people haven't seen that. So at the end of Split, you find out that James McAvoy's character, who has multiple personalities, one of which is called the Beast, which kind of turns him into a superpowered Hulk-like character.
He's quite scary.
Yeah, he's quite scary. At the end, you get this shot of people in a diner talking about this story that's just broken about this character. And then in the diner, it just so happens that David Dunn is there. And he realizes he has to go and confront this beast. And that's where it cuts. And everyone was like, oh my God, it's a sequel to Unbreakable. Shocked. And so on. And then very shortly after that, they announced Glass. And that's the trailer that we're discussing here. And it's basically... I really don't know what the setup is because it's kind of weird. They all seem to be in a psychiatric ward.
Yeah, it's quite fascinating. So it seems like at one point in the film, at some point, they're all going to come together in like a triumvirate in a mental hospital. And it just seems like the way the trailer was kind of implying is that Glass and the Beast will team up at some point, and it looks fascinating. And the thing with Shyamalan is he's had his ups and downs, but I've always found him a very interesting director. Like he's supremely self-indulgent a lot of the time, which has not always been to his credit. Occasionally he'll do a film like Unbreakable, which is amazing, but then he'll also do something else like what was the one about the trees, the sentient trees?
The Happening.
The Happening.
Oh my God, with honestly, the dopey look on bloody Mark Wahlberg's face.
Oh my God. If you ever wanted to see a film where Mark Wahlberg has a serious conversation with a plastic potted plant trying to convince it not to kill him, then this is the film for you. I mean, the idea behind The Happening was really quite interesting. Kind of, it was all about how nature had got so riled up with us destroying the planet that they started sort of convincing people to kill themselves, basically, in all sorts of ways. And so people are trying not to talk to plants and not have trees hear what they say. Oh my God, it just you could see that the idea was there, but it just became absolutely ludicrous, and I felt shame for everyone involved. But anyway, so he can make a film like that. But then something like Unbreakable is amazing. And you know what? I watched Split, and the thing that bothered me about Split is that I didn't like its portrayal of mental health issues. I thought that was really questionable at times and a bit offensive. But if you looked past that and kind of watched it almost like an exploitation horror movie, it actually did some quite interesting things and did quite well, and I kind of ended up liking it in spite of how offensive it could be at times as well. So I'm on board for this. I mean, the character of Mr. Glass is fascinating, and Samuel L. Jackson back in this role is really going to be quite interesting to see. Yeah, I'm on board. I'm on board with it.
Okay, so yeah, that's the end of the trailers from San Diego Comic-Con that we were sort of interested. And some mildly, some very...
There were some others, weren't there? Like, new Walking Dead trailer and stuff, but...
I mean, one thing we missed last week Right. I hope is that we talked about Doctor Who trailer and none of us like Doctor Who. So
I love Doctor Who. See,
you missed the wrong show, Joe.
Yeah, I love Doctor Who, so I'm quite excited for the new series. So yeah, just evening out the balance there.
Cool. Okay, something that I'm absolutely not excited for, and final reboot of this episode, and something that just worries me slightly, but also now that I know a little bit more about it, I'm less worried. So remember a while back, I had a revelation on the episode that Buffy Vampire Slayer reboot is actually in the works.
Yeah.
And it's now definitely in the works because Monica, I'm sorry, I'm gonna butcher your name, O'Subreen, who's currently producing and writing and show running the new Buffy the Vampire Slayer, so she sort of went out and addressed some of the fan worries because obviously there were a lot, because Buffy, if there's one thing I'd call iconic, I'd call Buffy iconic.
Yeah. I would say for people of a certain age, like our age, Buffy is iconic. Absolutely.
Yeah. And you know, that series definitely changed the landscape of TV series.
Absolutely.
And we wouldn't get the TV series we get now if Buffy didn't exist. And that's true. So she came out with a statement that people can read. I'm not going to read, all of it, but it's clear, that she was in the same mind. She's, big fan, obviously, and they aware of the problems and what it means, or at least aware to some extent what it means rebooting Buffy. But from where I understand, it's not so much a reboot or as a story used in the same universe.
Yeah, I don't think it'll even be called Buffy the Vampire Slayer. It will be called something else. So what's really nice about this, and actually, to be honest, I'm kind of up for this. We're going to have a black actress in the lead role, which is great. More diversity is brilliant. More of that, please. And the people that complained about that can just get in the bin, quite frankly. Like, we need more black characters on screen, and this will be great because she's not playing Buffy. And this is the thing that people need to get past.
Yes.
She's not going to be Buffy. This is going to be a different character. It's going to be a different Slayer. And I'm on board. I'm excited for, I think times have changed since Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and to have a new take on it that kind of works in our current society, I think will be great. I'm actually quite excited for this because I think, it's not... Buffy isn't it was brilliant, but it's not some untouchable relic that shouldn't be ever looked upon or rebooted. And I think, why not? Let's have a new crack at it. Let's have a new version for young people of today. I mean, there's a whole generation of teenage girls out there who are crying out for a Buffy of their own. And hopefully this will be it.
Yeah, I mean, there's a whole universe, and Slayers have been sort of appearing for ages. So to me, what is the most hopeful thing about it is that it actually makes sense. Like, it's not like they just pushed the narrative to fit something that they want.
Exactly.
They were like, okay, so there is a new Slayer. Buffy's retired. Now there's a new Slayer in the current age. Now, I don't think it will have, because that was a kind of a unique idea and unique take on the story.
Yeah.
Now, this may be a reboot, but it won't have the same cultural effect, I think. Unless they do something absolutely incredible and something I don't expect, which I'm all up for, and be the first one to say I was wrong. But I'm just not that hopeful that it will be as revolutionary as Buffy was. But another good news is that Joss Whedon is also on board, which, his blessing is the one that you really need if you're getting any.
Yeah. I mean, you know what? There's a whole bunch of nerds out there who will moan about this no matter what they do. But I'm up for seeing what they do with it. I'm excited to see a new, fresh take on the idea and on the universe, and bring it on.
And remember, if it sucks, you still have the original.
Yeah, that's what I mean. This doesn't delete original Buffy. She's still there. She's still in lovely box set form. You can watch Buffy to your heart's content, which I advise anyone who, for some reason, has never watched Buffy, go and watch Buffy. It's great. You'll get a lovely glimpse into the nerd mindset of the 90s.
You're okay with this? Any extra thoughts?
For me, I mean, rebooting, we're never going to be able to stop it. That's just the way the world works at the moment. But to be honest with you, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, it could be rebooted and it could be awesome. Especially, as you say, with Whedon's kind of backing. Whether he's just involved as an exec producer, that's fine. As long as he's kind of involved, it should mean that they won't step on too much of the past in terms of, trying to change it. As for the story itself, it is the perfect time for kind of one of the things that Buffy did at the time was it was a very socially conscious show.
Yes.
They had Willow in it. They had multiple kind of stories about the youth at that time and what they were going through.
Then they also I love how you say that, like, we're so old.
We are old. We are
the youth
old.
Of the time.
But I like the fact that they can take that, they can just pluck that idea out and move it to right now and tell new stories and discuss new things and still just have vampire slaying in the back. Just have that kind of there as the thing that you also watch. I'm excited for this. It could be really, really good. Obviously, we'll have to wait and see about, when the show actually goes live. But I'm going to be hopeful. I'm going to try and stay optimistic. Team positive.
Yeah, that's the way to be. With anything like this, it doesn't delete original Buffy. So why not be optimistic? And actually, also, like, it's a whole bunch of 30, 40-something-year-old nerds complaining about this. It's not for them. It's not made for us. This is going to be for a new generation of people who want their own Buffy. So, you know what? Our opinions are kind of irrelevant.
We're old now. We're obsolete.
Yeah, we're old. We are old and obsolete. Yes. Onto the scrap heap like Soylent Green.
And the last section of our news, and something that's becoming a traditional section of our news, it's Star Wars news!
Yay!
Yeah, I think I added this late last night because it broke late last night.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, so Star Wars Episode 9 casting has been announced. The film is starting filming on the 1st of August, so like this week coming in Pinewood Studios.
Which is nice. I'm glad they still use Pinewood.
Exactly.
Because it's always been the Star Wars studio, so yes!
And as we're already aware, JJ's helming this one again. Returning cast, obviously. Daisy Ridley, Adam Driver, John Boyega, the rest of the crew, you know them. It's the joining of the cast that I think is kind of interesting. Naomi Ackie, I don't know, but Richard E. Grant, I can guarantee you, has to be some kind of Imperial or First Order officer.
When I saw on Twitter that he was in it, I was like, yeah, here we go.
Has to be. But
I would love it if he's not. I would love it if he's like some awesome rebel leader or something. That would be amazing.
I'll be honest, before they brought out The Force Awakens, I honestly thought Max von Sydow was going to be a bad guy because that's what he normally plays.
Yeah.
The fact that he wasn't was brilliant. So yeah, I'm up for that. It's the fact that they also have confirmed that Mark Hamill is going to be back is quite big news, as well as Billy D. Williams, which was, I think, rumoured previously, but has now been confirmed. That's big news. But I think the biggest news, personally, is the fact that...
most important news.
Yes. Carrie Fisher is going to be returning to the role of Leia, and they're going to be using previously unreleased footage of her that was shot for episodes 7 and 8.
I love this.
And kind of cutting that together in some kind of magnificent ways to make that work. And they got the consent of her daughter, Billie Lourd, for that. So I like that they're being respectful, and they kind of addressed the fact that they were never going to use a kind of a CGI character or recast that role.
Yeah. How could they? How could you recast that? You just couldn't.
No,
I mean, honestly, Star Wars fans get antsy about a lot of things, but that would be the one thing that I would be like, nah, I'm done. If they were going to recast Leia, you just can't.
I think the fact that they seem to think, at least, I know they probably have this planned out already. The fact that they seem to think that they can reintroduce Leia and have her in this film without it being kind of weird, like as in, like the footage that they have from 7 and 8 must be able to be fit into this movie in a way that is natural. I'm glad, and I hope that could, that it works well.
It's going to be fascinating to see how they do it.
Yeah,
like obviously they must have a bunch of stuff that was never seen or used widely. Obviously we can assume that her role in the film will be relatively small. Like, it's definitely not going to be sort of key character type stuff, because they definitely won't have enough for that. But it's just, yeah, I think this is great. You know, you need her there, and yes, I'm impressed with this. So, yay.
Yeah, I think all of us were kind of worried, especially after episode 8, how they're gonna treat her passing away.
Yeah.
And I think using unused footage is the only right way to do it, actually. And doing some magic with it. And, you know, sure, I'm so upset because it so looked like episode 9 was going to be a Leia episode. And I was so looking forward to that. And but, you know, this can't be helped. This is incredibly sad. But if they get to use some unused footage anyway, that'd be great. Even no matter how small her role is.
Yeah, at least there will be a little more of a send off. I mean, I miss Carrie Fisher a lot. I feel like, especially right now with what happens in the industry in terms of the Me Too movement and things like that, hers was such an important voice, and now it's gone. And I think we're still feeling that loss quite a lot. Like, not just in the Star Wars community, but in like the whole movie world. Is like, you know, Carrie Fisher was an absolute force of nature. So yeah, I'm really pleased that they found a way to feature her in episode 9. So yeah,
Agreed.
I mean, it might sound a little bit silly, but I still follow her on Twitter. Like, I can't bring myself. Every time I go through the cleanup stage, weeding out stuff, I hover over her Twitter account that is obviously no longer active, and I just can't bring myself down to delete it.
Yeah.
So
I know
she's
exactly
there.
what you mean. Yeah.
Yep. So,
anyway,
that is the news. Now,
lots of news today.
Yeah, there's lots of news, actually. That was pretty good. Moving on to the topics, and now this is something we missed last week, but Di is going to talk about how it ends.
Yes, so this show will end very shortly. You mean the film. Yeah, so that was a bad joke. How it ends is a film I saw on Netflix recently. Came out at the start of July, I think, roughly. And it stars Forrest Whitaker and Theo James. I recognized him initially as the dude from the Divergent movies.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah. Oh, wait, is he the number person? 4 from Divergent.
No, I don't think so. I don't know what else he's in. But
Theo, what's his name?
Theo James. And he, he's...
Yes, he's number person. He's 4.
Okay, well, all right.
Sorry.
I don't know who he is, but when I saw the trailer, he wasn't really what kind of sold me on it anyway. It was more, it looked like a cool current apocalyptic. I don't know if that's, it's kind of like as the world is ending kind of thing. So it's a really kind of strange film.
He was in the Underworld movies.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a very small scale story set in what is a big event, which is always the way I kind of prefer these kind of films to go. It kind of reminds me a bit of the recent War of the Worlds film, where it's the kind of the story of Tom Cruise's family in this big event that's happening. And this is very similar. So Theo James plays a guy named Will, who is getting married and having a child with Samantha. Before they do that, Samantha wants Will, I should refer to him as the character, to kind of ask, do the traditional thing of asking her father for permission, which is a stupid thing. Anyway, so he goes to visit them in Chicago. And the father is a former military man played by Forrest Whitaker. And he is incredibly strict and he doesn't like Will at all. And they kind of have a bit of a falling out during that dinner and he doesn't ask them. Next morning, Will wakes up and he has a phone call with Sam to tell her the news. And while they're on the call, they get cut off. But just beforehand, Sam hears a loud noise, feels the kind of the room shaking, and then the call gets cut off. And you kind of see snippets of what's happening in the world through the TV screens kind of around the world. So like he's at the airport, for instance, trying to fly home. All the flights get cancelled. And then the news in the background is talking about there's power cuts all across the US and things like that. And no one has a clue what's going on. So it starts off very kind of civilized and very sort of initially no one knows what's going on. And then Will goes back to Tom, who's Sam's father, and lets him know. And then he's obviously a military man, well trained. He goes straight into action. He goes, right, I'm going to go get my daughter, which is like a 2,000-mile journey from Chicago to Seattle. And he asks Will if he's coming with him, and they do. And it's basically like a road trip movie then. And it's how they're trying to get to Samantha to make sure she's safe and bring her back. And that's the entire film then. It kind of goes from there. I don't want to say much more in case it spoils it for anyone. The film it's all right. I'm not going to say it's great, or I'm not going to even say it's good. The acting in it is a bit ropey in certain places. It's pretty low budget, but it does a good job of hiding that. Like, the effects when it uses it are effective. It's an interesting story. I just don't think they do enough with it. It just seems to be about the decay of society when things go wrong. And I don't think they really do enough with the characters to kind of sell that. I could go into detail on what exactly that is, but that would kind of involve story spoilers. They do introduce different characters who either help or hinder them on the way to Seattle. And then they're constantly learning more about this event that happens. Again, I won't spoil anything about that. But by the end of the film, when it did kind of finish, I was kind of left a bit unfulfilled. I was expecting something a bit more substantial, and I didn't really get that. Now, it's a very small story, as I mentioned at the start, about a small group of people in this big event. But even that, it didn't really feel like I was given enough to kind of root for. So by the end of the film, I wasn't really fulfilled. I don't know if I'd recommend this, but like there are worse films to watch on Netflix. I'll say that much. But this one,
yeah, I'll talk about one of them.
But this one, it's not great, but it's not bad either. Maybe worth a watch. It's on Netflix. If you have a subscription, you're not paying anymore. So, and if you have a free evening, it's worth giving it a quick watch. But yeah, I wasn't completely sold by the end of it, I'll be honest.
I will add that this sort of theme and topic, decay of the society and no one really knowing what's going on, that thing when you almost... Because we're so dependent on the news and on the TV and people explaining stuff that's going on in the world to us. And if suddenly we lose that certainty, it's sort of, how does your mind even work? How do you know what's going on? How do you know what's happening? That is always so, that whole thing is just always so endlessly fascinating to me. And I will add that if you're craving something like that, I would really recommend Jericho. Now, unfortunately, Jericho is a TV series that has... that was cancelled.
That went for 2 seasons, right?
Yeah, I think so. It went for 2 seasons, but the premise of that was basically, you're in America and nukes went off.
Yeah.
And you're in this little small town and people are just trying to figure out how to survive and what's happening and who's alive, who's not alive, how do they function and operate. And I think they've nailed that feeling of everything is bad. We don't know what's going on. We have to make it.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. If you're interested. I mean, to be honest, how it ends sounds kind of fascinating to me. I might have a watch.
Give it a watch. I'm not going to say that, it's not worth it or anything like that. I was just a bit disappointed personally. You might get more out of it than I did. I thought Theo James wasn't great. He didn't really carry the movie as he should have. Forrest Whitaker is always very good. He plays a bit of a one-note character, though, which is kind of disappointing. I was hoping there'd be a bit more out of him.
Yeah.
But like the story itself, it is just a case of them going on a road trip and encountering different groups of people, and how, as the world seems to be coming to an end, kind of the way society kind of breaks down, and suddenly civility is no longer the best kind of course of action. I was getting hints of stuff like The Road and stuff like The Last of Us from it initially, but it never kind of came close to emulating any of those. But still, it's worth an evening watch,
Moving on, slightly away from the movies, which we'll come back to at the end of the show, but into the dinos. More of Dinosaurs.
So it's been out for like a month. And now I'm finally ready to talk about Jurassic World Evolution, which I absolutely adore. I love this game. So basically, Jurassic World Evolution is a sort of a management simulation game, kind of like Planet Coaster, things like that. And it actually comes from Frontier, who made Planet Coaster, Elite Dangerous, and Zoo Tycoon, stuff like that. It's absolutely wonderful. So, as you may have guessed from the name, it's like Jurassic Park Operation Genesis, if anyone remembers that, but obviously redone and improved and very, very beautiful. And you have all the 5 Cinco Muertes islands from the film and also Isla Nublar, and you steadily unlock the islands throughout the game, and you basically build your own dinosaur theme park. So you are building your own Jurassic World. The dinosaurs are great. So you unlock the dinosaurs through basically going on expedition digs to find fossils, which you then excavate the fossils, and you have to build up the genome for the dinosaur before you can sort of incubate one, which is great because it means that you kind of have to work a little bit to get each dinosaur. You don't just immediately get everything straight away, which adds a nice sort of layer of a bit of a campaign to it. Some actors from the films are in the game sort of to guide you along the way. Most notably, Jeff Goldblum is there.
Yeah.
So every now and again, Mr. Goldblum will pop up on your screen and spout out some Ian Malcolm wisdom, which is always good. A few other people, so like Bryce Dallas Howard is in it, and B.D. Wong, who was Dr. Henry Wu, and people like that. Chris Pratt is not in it, but that's fine. I don't really care. His character is in it, and they've got someone else who kind of sounds a little bit like him to do it, and it's fine. It's it's so irrelevant, but I'm not really a huge Chris Pratt fan anyway, so I'm not that bothered. But yeah, it's wonderful. It's like someone has made Joe's Heaven the game. I've put well over 40 hours into this game already. I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little bit obsessed with it at times. Like, I had the other weekend, I started playing it in the morning and played it solidly for about 8 hours, only getting up a couple of times to like get a drink or go to the loo or something. And I was like, whoa, I've not done that in a game for a long time. Like, actually just sit down on one game for that amount of time and not even getting remotely bored and just being constantly entertained. I love it. It's wonderful. If you like crafting management games, like things like Planet Coaster and Sims and City Skyline type stuff, then this is great. It's a really, really good building game. And if you like dinosaurs, then it's even better. So yeah, I can't recommend it enough. It's brilliant. One of my favourite games of the year. I'm playing it on PS4, and it actually plays really, really well on console, which surprised me. When I first started it, I thought, okay, well this, coming from Frontier, obviously Planet Coaster was very at home on PC, and I kind of thought maybe this is going to kind of be the same. Maybe it won't feel that great to play on console because builders don't always feel that great on console. But this feels like it was designed for console and just like ported to PC, if that makes sense. They've really thought about how you control things, and everything feels very smooth and easy. There's no like fiddling around with precise building mechanics with a controller. It's actually very, very smooth and easy to use. And yeah, I'm just loving it. I just think it's great.
I do like reading your comments on it in our chat. Our friend Brad also has the game, and he was complaining about the fact that the raptors are real, dicks.
They're little bastards.
And then you kind of said, "Oh, I have 5 of them. It's fine. They're in an electric fence and everything. It's all great." And then, like a few hours later, or maybe the next day, I can't remember.
It was like 5 minutes later.
No. It's all gone wrong.
Yeah, no, basically when you first get the raptors, they're little shits. And so I had 4, because the thing with the raptors is they're really twitchy and you can't just have 2. They have to be in like a pack. And this is the thing you've got to manage with the dinosaurs, is they all have their own comfort thresholds for things. So like how much forestry they like in their enclosure, how many other dinosaurs they can live with, how many of their own type they need to live with. Like some dinosaurs are very social and then some aren't social at all. So like, for example, the Spinosaurus, he's incredibly antisocial and you don't want to put any other dinosaurs in with him. He needs to be on his own. Whereas raptors, you need to have at least 3 or 4 of them, or they get really antsy and start biting through the fence. But the game's a little bit tricksy, and when you first get dinosaurs like the raptors, it's almost as if they have them break out on you just to show you that it happens. And yeah, little shits. I had them for 5 minutes and they were out causing chaos, and I was like, well, they're just shitting all over my perfect life right now. You have like a helicopter that you can send to tranquilize them, and then you have to get your rangers to repair the fence and basically just sort them out. And yeah, it's never not fun. Like, it's always super entertaining. But they're not the only ones. Like, any of the dinosaurs can get a bit antsy and one out, like if you don't look after them well enough. And it's just something that you learn, and it's so, the attention to detail on, like, they've really taken this seriously in terms of making sure that the dinosaurs are properly represented. Like, this isn't amateur hour. They've done their research, and there's all sorts of species and genus of dinosaurs in here that your average person won't know what they are. But a dinosaur fan is like, oh, this is so cool. There's a Chunkysaurus in here, or there's a Dracorex.
Excuse me, Chunkysaurus?
Chunkysaurus. It's like it's a little bit like a Stegosaurus, kinda like a smaller Stegosaurus.
I heard Chunkysaurus as well.
Chunkysaurus. There's a Huangosaurus, and there's a whole bunch of awesome dinosaurs. And that's what's great about it, is there's a real good variety of dinosaurs. Sadly, there are no pterosaurs or sea dinosaurs yet, so there's no mosasaurus or pteranodons. But I'm hoping that they're going to come as like a DLC later. And one thing that to Frontier's absolute credit that they've already announced that they're doing is they are going to be issuing free updates for the game.
Very nice.
So I've got everything crossed that we're going to get like mosasaurs and be able to build aquatic arenas, because that would just be brilliant. See, because like at the moment, as awesome as they are, it is only land-based dinosaurs in the game right now. So yeah, the option to be able to build like an aviary and have pterosaurs would be wonderful, and to have mosasaurs, like a big aquatic, it'd be so good. So yeah, but I'm just loving it. It's never dull. Like for me, as a, I'm a huge dinosaur fan. I was always going to enjoy this game, but I'm slightly surprised at how much I absolutely love it. Like, not just because of the dinosaurs, but because of just how much fun I'm having building the park and doing my thing. It's if you ever wanted to build your own Jurassic Park, now you can. And they've done really well with it. So I'm so pleased. I love it. It's definitely in my top 5 for games that I've played this year. And yeah, I'm not done with it yet. I can see myself easily putting another 40 hours into it or more. Yeah, so good.
I'm really glad that they nailed it. I was
they definitely did.
We'd heard about this project for ages, and I'm glad that they just seem to have just hit the nail on the head, delivered what everyone seems to expect from this kind of game.
I think there's been some mixed reviews for it. Like, notably, I think IGN gave it a bit of a pasting. And to be honest, like, I don't get it. I don't get that review at all, and some of these negative reviews. Like, yeah, it's... At the start, it can potentially be a little bit grindy, and if you're not a patient person, and if you're not really into building games, then maybe you're going to find it a bit slow at times, because, that's what building games are like sometimes. You have to work to unlock things, and you have to take your time with them. They're not a sort of quick gratification type game, you have to put in the hours.
Yeah.
And so I think some of the negative reviews may have slightly missed the point a little bit.
I wonder, would Frontier potentially, as they're doing free updates, introduce some sort of an escalated build mode where it maybe addresses that kind of criticism and gives people an easier method of getting in?
One thing you can do is, fairly early on, you unlock the sandbox mode, right?
Yeah.
Which is Isla Nublar, which is the Jurassic Park and Jurassic World island. And that's like, you've got free reign, you can do whatever you want. You have unlimited money on that, so you start off like there's no money, there's no missions, and you can set the weather how you want. So there's storms in the campaign, so every now and again you'll have a storm come through that will just honestly, the storms are just an absolute nightmare sometimes. They'll just wreck it. Like, everything will be running perfectly, and then, oh, hello, here comes the storm, and it's going to blow right through my Tyrannosaur paddock, knock out the fences, knock out my power, so I can't get my rangers to him, so the T-Rex is just going to be wandering around doing whatever the hell he likes for a little bit. And I'm like, well, this is great. But, that adds a layer of kind of difficulty to it, which is good. Like, it keeps things fresh and exciting. You have to be on your toes when that happens. But on the sandbox, you can turn all that off. You can turn storms off, and you have unlimited money, and you can do what you want. The only problem with the sandbox, really, is you can only use on it the dinosaurs that you've unlocked in the main game. So you need to play through the campaign to unlock the other dinosaurs, which, to be honest, once you've got the money flowing through on your parks, you can do that fairly quickly, because it's just a case of keeping up with your expeditions and unlocking the fossils.
Mm.
And once you've unlocked all of the campaign islands, like all 5 of Los Cinco Muertes islands, then you've got enough research station to basically unlock everything. You just have to put in the hours. And that's, to be honest, I have no issue with that. I think some of the reviews had a problem with that you couldn't just go into the sandbox and just build whatever you wanted straight away with everything. And I was like, well, you know what? Sometimes you got to unlock things in games. Like, you got to put in a little bit of effort to get the reward, So yeah, so there's the sandbox there. But yeah, it'll be really interesting to see what they do with the updates. I'm interested to see, but yeah, I'm keeping everything crossed for pteranodons.
So, highly recommended.
Yeah, obviously,
Excellent.
you always knew that I was going to love it because it's dinosaurs and I'm building my own Jurassic Park. But it's better than that. Like, talking completely objectively as someone, say if I was trying to speak as someone who isn't like a huge fan of dinosaurs, if you like building games, there's still plenty here for you, and it's really fun. And it's, like if you like Planet Coaster, that's a good approximation. It uses that same engine and it works really well. So yeah, it's great.
So it sounds like dinosaurs aren't going extinct, eh, Alex?
Hey.
Brilliant.
Ba-dum-tsh.
Well done.
Damn it,
Well done.
it's a good segue, but I had a point.
Beep, beep. Let's bring it back.
Yeah.
Bring it back.
Bring that back. Whoop, 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 whoop.
So I haven't, I've got a game, thank you, Sean. I haven't played it, though, but I have watched Tim play it. And from that, my very limited experience, he did have a couple of problems with, like, the game crashing or a couple of bugs.
Really?
Yeah, so that's why I wanted to ask about.
Oh, I haven't had that at all. I haven't had a single crash or bug. Nothing. Yeah, I can't even think of anything. Yeah, no, it's been absolutely smooth for me. What's he playing on PC or PS4?
No, PS4. PS4 Pro.
That's really interesting. Yeah, I've not had anything.
Well, he's just unlucky, maybe. Anyway.
Yeah, maybe. Oh no, I tell a lie. It crashed for me the other day. I can't remember why, but the whole game did crash once. Yeah,
Okay.
But that's the only time in 40 hours. I can't remember what I was doing. I think I was going from one island to another and it just crashed. But yeah, but that's it actually. I'm trying to think now. I can't think of anything else it's done.
Okay, fair enough. Well, I'm sure you'll hear Tim speak about it at some point.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, when he's played it.
Is he enjoying it though? I mean, dinosaurs,
I think so, yeah.
Good.
Otherwise, Joe would have had to kill him.
Yeah, Tim, we would have had to have words.
Okay, Dan, make a segue.
Segue. I can't make it again. I've just cut it from where it was and put it here.
No, just leave everything.
You know what? I'm
exactly
leaving
how
all of
it
it
was.
in. This is just
Yeah.
too hilarious. I'm going to talk about Extinction, which is another sci-fi Netflix thing. So, I've dipped back into that pool at my own risk. And the thing that, it came up as a trailer on the main Netflix page, and I was like, oh, Michael Pena, Lizzie Kaplan, oh, Michael Coulter, like, these are good people. This is kind of interesting. And I was like, oh, it's a Netflix sci-fi show. Do I really wanna? Okay, fine, I'm going in. And, God, it's a little bit hard to describe without giving stuff away. But basically, Michael Pena plays Pete, who is, Lizzie Kaplan is his wife. They've got 2 girls. And he's going through a little bit of a struggles with his family because he keeps having these nightmares about this alien force coming to Earth and basically killing them all. Keeps them up, he falls asleep at work, he doesn't come home to spend time with his kids because he's struggling with all of that. So there's a little bit, of a tension there with his family that he's trying to get through, but he's just not, for some reason or another, he's just not entirely sure that he wants to deal with it, or that the problem that he has is just a nightmare. Like, he thinks it's something more. Now, anything beyond that is a bit of a spoiler. This movie does enjoy having its twists and turns. It has really 2. I would say it's the twists and turns that you see coming straight away. Like, none of them were surprises to me. Especially. So I don't know how much that would spoil it for anyone, but I'm just gonna avoid it just in case someone does feel like it's a spoiler. As you know, I think it's a very sort of mediocre Netflix sci-fi, really. The CGI is a bit shoddy, but it's fine. I'm quite forgiving on the low budget films. They did some of their jobs. I think they could have done a bit more with the alien costumes. They kind of went sort of generic, there's kind of bug-looking people, but also kind of humanoid stuff. Like, I don't know, they could have been a bit more cleverer, in my opinion, with that. The biggest problem really is that the acting is incredibly mediocre, and Michael Pena, like, he's such a charismatic person,
yeah,
really.
he's usually great.
He's amazing, and he's trying his best. He's really trying his best. But honestly, it was a weird role for him because as I said, he's got so much charisma and he gets to show none of it in this movie. None of it at all. He's just becoming this generic dude in the sci-fi action movie, basically. Like, immediately, with no reason whatsoever. Lizzie Kaplan, I also love her as well. You know, she's got all the way from Mean Girls, following her to True Blood, and Masters of Sex, I think it was called.
Yeah.
You know, she's a great actress. She does great. And she does nothing this movie. Just nothing exciting. Michael Coulter appears there for a brief sort of flash. And, a super token black dude. I'm sorry, but he just is. So, you know, in that case, it was very disappointing. And the thing is, I don't want to name other properties that it's like, because that will give away the so-called plot twists. But we are living right now at the moment where this theme is discussed over and over and over again. And if you think really hard, you'll understand what sort of theme is currently on our mind, because there's been a big movie about it, there is a big TV show about it, and all they do is explore it in actually both of them explore it in kind of deep and interesting ways. Whereas this one is like, it doesn't really think about anything of it except beyond the shock value of the revelation.
It's surface level.
Yeah. So you're supposed to be surprised that, oh, so that's who they really are. But then nothing really happens. Like, it's just a surprise. They attempt a little bit to sort of bring it back, but it's more like a backstory. It's more of an explanation of what happened rather than a discussion of how to deal with it, really. And especially the movie kind of ends on sort of this very meh point where nothing is resolved. You just found out the mystery. And then the movie's like, that's it. Goodbye. Waving my hand. Going off now. Yay.
Yeah.
Disappearing into a tunnel. So it is really, really bizarre. Like, it's definitely not recommend. Just, don't watch it unless, if you want to know the plot twist, message me and I'll tell you. Honestly, I'll tell you the whole plot in about 5 seconds. But it's such a bizarre movie. And again, I'm keep thinking, how did they get this cast? I mean, was there a blackmail situation? I mean, did they spend all the money on the cast and that's why the CGI was so bad? I mean, what the hell is going on? This is just not the movie that I wanted to see Michael Pena lead. Like, that guy deserves some fantastic movie where he gets to show all his range, which he absolutely has, and he was just wasted on Extinction. Absolutely wasted.
Okay, if you want to watch a good Michael Pena movie, watch End of Watch. There you go.
Yes,
boom. I'll leave it at that.
That movie is so good. Yeah,
okay, maybe I will. I need a Michael Pena palette cleanser. But yeah, there you go. So, How It Ends, a maybe. Jurassic World Evolution, a definitely. And Extinction, Okay, guys, I think that's the end of our show. We've actually run a bit late. Sorry, that is probably boiling there. I've got windows opening, so
I'm a puddle.
You're a cute puddle die. Okay, so thank you very much for listening to episode 144. Before we go, we gotta say thank yous to a couple people that spoke to us. Joe,
yes,
do me the honors of reading the names of those lovely peeps.
Okay, yes, so thank you very much, and a lovely shout out to Stealthy Joe, Will, Gabriel, Freya Goddard, Stingo, and BroPete390.
If you would like to get in touch with us like these lovely people, you can do so on BigRedBarel.com. You can do so on Facebook, facebook.com/BigRedBarel. On Twitter, @BigRedBarel is the main account. If you use hashtag Geek Speak, that helps us to find your tweets. You can also speak to us on Twitter directly. I'm at DustyTulip_.
I'm at Pixel Ritual.
And I'm at Diarmuid_S.
And if you leave us an iTunes review, we will love you forever. However you want. But maybe not like weird way.
Oh, no, not like that.
Remember, safe word, pineapple.
Pineapple. Use pineapple, please.
Is there a less sexy word than pineapple?
What's wrong with pineapple?
They're quite spiky. Like, when you immediately
maybe you like
envision a pineapple. Sure.
Don't think shame me.
Everyone, each to their own. Like, go, be free, have fun, be safe.
Oh God, did I reveal too much on the podcast? Oh well. Anyway, moving on from pineapples and spikes. Tabletop Tuesday is a Tuesday. And on Tabletop Tuesday, we have Tabletop Tuesday, a board game night in Dalston, London, where every week we have a new feature game, and if you play that game in the night, you have a chance to win a copy by the end of the night. Now, again, just so I don't name the wrong game for the wrong week, go to BigRedBarel.com, top left-hand corner. You will see the feature game. There will be a little description. There will be a video that will tell you about the game. It was all a good one. And even if the feature game doesn't interest you, there ridiculous, like 200 board games out there. Like, you'll find something. Like, I guarantee you. And if you can't find something, speak to Tim or me, and we'll find something for you.
And Loading Bar is a great bar anyway, so just go.
Indeed.
Okay. So, that's it for episode 144. Yep. I've been Butts.
I've been Joe.
I've been Diarmuid.
And we'll bid you goodbye.
Bye.
Butts.
That was a weird butts. But anyway.
That was a weird Butts.
We always judge your butt, Alex.
You and your ears are quite welcome
for the podcasting goodness that you just heard.
Why not roll on over
to BigRedBarel.com
for more podcasts,
news, reviews, and videos from the biggest, reddest site on the internet, BigRedBarel.com.